Hey, hi. In this video, we're gonna see how to create an AWS Glue job which loads Amazon S3 bucket file in the form of JSON format, which is actually acting as a data set to Amazon Redshift cluster. So here we are focusing on JSON file, right? So for example, say you are actually loading huge, data set in the form of semi-structured data, that is JSON file. You want to load that data into Amazon Redshift cluster, which is actually acting as a data warehouse services. Now here we're going to use AWS Glue job as a pipeline here, which actually migrates the data from Amazon S3 bucket, that is JSON file data set, to Amazon Redshift cluster. Okay, so that's the main aim of this one. So here we will see that so in this one, so how do I set in the solution here, right? So first we will have a JSON source, that is an Amazon S3 bucket, and then we're going to create an ETL job in the AWS Glue services. Then we're going to make the connection between JSON source, that is S3 bucket, to ETL Glue job, which actually extracts the data from the semi-structured files, that is JSON. And right, and then finally we're going to see that how does it actually load the data to the Amazon Redshift cluster, right? So in total here we are actually having a semi-structured data, that is JSON format. Now we want to load it into the destination, that is Amazon Redshift cluster, which is acting as the data warehouse here. All right, so with that being said, I will take you to my AWS account, where we will see that how to set up these configurations and how does this solution works. Okay, so currently, as you see here, I'm in my AWS accounts, and in this AWS account I have a bucket called the data source side, that is data bucket source side. So in this bucket I'm gonna upload an example file, something like this. Okay, so here this is Visual Studio Code. I have a file called user underscore 100.json file. In this one we have right now I have the semi structured the data in the form of a list of objects, right? So here we have 15 records, and these records are nothing but list of dictionaries in Python terminology. Okay, now how to extract this data and load it into in the form of a structured format, that is in Amazon Redshift service, which is actually acting as a data warehouse services. Okay, all right, so before that, first we need to upload this file into this data bucket source side. Currently I'm deleting this file for now, because this does not contains any kind of this file does not contain the format that we want, so I'm going to delete it right away. Now in place of that, what I do is I'm going to upload a new file that I have just now shown you. So let's upload that file here. Click on add. I'm going to upload this file from my laptop. So I have that file here. Yeah, so here in this one, if you go to the Python hacks, and here is the file which we have the loaded, and the size of this file is 2 KB for now, because this is demo, right? So I'm not gonna explain, I'm not gonna tell you more about this one, since this is a demo, like how we can build an ETL pipeline which will extract the data from S3 bucket, which is in the form of a JSON data set. Now we're gonna upload into the Redshift cluster. Okay, that's the main aim here. So we're gonna quickly upload this file. With this configurations, our S3 bucket is ready. Now we'll go to the another tab where I have already opened AWS Glue services, that is belongs to the region Oregon region. Okay, so I always do my labs in the AWS Oregon region. There is no specific reason, but I just randomly choose. Okay, so in this one we're going to create this pipeline. So if I go back to the diagram, so we have this diagram that is nothing but the something settings that we need to do in the ETL Glue, where we build a ETL job which actually does the extraction from the JSON source, loads into the Amazon Redshift cluster. Okay, and finally we see that we realize that hey, data from JSON source is now present in Amazon Redshift cluster. Now you are ready to consume it. You can use it for reporting purpose, machine learning model purpose, or you can use it for say like whatever you want. You can integrate with any other applications as well. Now what I do is so here in my videos I generally try to build the job with using Visual ETL, because this is easy and easy to set up. But after the I built the ETL job with using Visual ETL, I'm going to walk you through the script that is being created. Okay, so in the later video I'm going to show you that how we can write a script which will actually build a pipeline, and we can manage this pipeline with using CI/CD. That is I'm going to cover it in a next video. So wait for that, right? So before we go to this one, so make sure that you have a destination ready, that is your Amazon Redshift cluster. Okay, so for that, before I show you the how to construct this AWS Glue job with using this Visual Studio, with using this Visual ETL Studio. Now let's go to the another tab, that is the the another tab that is belongs to Oregon region, and it belongs to Amazon Redshift serverless. And here I have already created a work group and a namespace. So if I click on this one, so this is actually an instance of Amazon Redshift cluster which I have already created. Now note that here, for your information, since this is a demo, I'm making this cluster public. You see that publicly accessible, in the sense the endpoint of this Redshift cluster is accessible from the public. Okay, so remember that I am using Redshift. So but here this is a, I'm using Redshift cluster, but this is the Redshift serverless. Okay, so here we are making this Redshift serverless cluster over the over the public access, because I just wanted to do a demo of loading the JSON file into the Amazon Redshift cluster. Now you can, once the cluster is been created, once the Redshift cluster is been created, you can query this cluster by clicking on this query data button, and it will take you to the Redshift query editor version 2 page, right, in the another tab. So here you should be able to connect it to the databases. So if I refresh the connections earlier, which the earlier page that you saw was belongs to the previous session, so I'm just going to refresh it now. So if I refresh it here, so you should be able to see your server, that is your work group name, that is Redshift cluster. In that one we're going to use the basic data, basic database called dev. Underneath that we're going to use the public. Underneath that public, currently I don't have any table. Now we will build an ETL table. We will build an ETL pipeline which will actually dynamically creates a bucket. Dynamically creates the S3 bucket. Dynamically creates a the public schema table in the Redshift cluster, and then pushes the data into it. Okay, all right. So now, as you are aware, now we don't have anything in the destination. Now we're going to create a pipeline which actually creates the table, pushes the data, and makes that the cluster is ready for consumption purpose. For that, right? So now we are also now known with the Amazon Redshift cluster. Now let's go back to the the AWS Glue, where we need to set up this ETL job. Okay, so this is very quick one. So I'm going to go to the AWS Glue Studio, click on this Visuals ETL. Right in here, so as usual, I show in my videos. Here there is a button called add nodes. Click on this one. So in the nodes, add nodes, you have a 4 options, that is source, transform, target, and popular. So basically source is nothing but you need to define what is your source. Transform is nothing but if you want to modulate your data during the pipeline extraction and modulations. Okay, so you can do a transformation or modification of your data. So there are lots of options present in the transformations which you can explore. In this case we are not using transformer, because we consider that the source data is ready to consume, in the sense it's just a basically semi structured, but it is good enough to consume in the targets, right? So here our targets is Redshift cluster. Okay, all right. So with that being said, so I will go to the sources. We're going to choose the source called Amazon S3 bucket. Click on this one. Here you can give the name of something like say demo S3, right? And then here in the source type, choose the S3 locations. In the S3 URL, click on this one. Here click on browse. When you browse it, choose the S3 bucket. So in our case the S3 bucket is data bucket source side, because if we go back to the S3 bucket, so this is our bucket where I uploaded the JSON file, and our JSON file size is like 1.kb, which is very simple because this is a demo. Now we're going to choose that bucket now, and after you choose a bucket, put a / in front of that bucket here. Then go to the data format. In the data format, so here you see that there are the supported data formats: data lake format, Apache, Hundi, then you have a bucket, then you have a CSV and JSON. Generally, I have shown many videos on CSV, but now this is dedicated for CSV file, so you're going to choose it a data format as a CSV file. Then the rest all options you can keep it default, right? And in the left hand side, you see that there is a data preview and output schema options. Now we can dynamically preview the data present in this source bucket. So for that case, you go to the IAM role and choose the the IAM role, that is ETL role, right? So I'm going to show you this IAM role. So how does that look? So basically this IAM role is actually a role which has the trust to the AWS Glue, and I have given full permissions in this IAM role because this is a demo, right? So if I go to the IAM role, so I will just click on ETL Lambda. So if you click on ETL Lambda, click on this one, you see that it has administrator privileges, right? And in the trust, I have given our Glue services as a trust, because so that Glue can push us the data from using this role. Okay, so it has to trusted by the Glue, and also trusted by Redshift as well. So if you find out the Redshift, you can also find out the Redshift here. You see that it is also trusted by Redshift service, that is AWS Redshift service. Okay, and that is what I have kept in this IAM role which I chosen. Okay, I understand that this is not a the least privileges, since this is a demo. So I'm using that privilege role to make the demo very fast. Now you see that it has actually extracted the data, and it has put it in the form of a preview. You said in the preview itself, it has extracted all the data present in this file. Okay, and the good reason here is that so with using the ETL glue, we have now easily converted the semi-structured data into this format of structured data. This is nothing but the T-SQL, right? So you can now run your T-SQL query on this data set, right? So but if I go back to the raw data, so our raw data was in this format, in this JSON format, and it was very difficult to consume it directly, right? So for example, say you want to build a data warehouse out of these kind of JSON data sets, then this is what you need to do. All right, so we are done with the source side. Now let's construct our destination, that is the target. So you go to the target, go to the add nodes. So before you go to the add nodes, make sure that you select this data source -s3 bucket, then click on add nodes, go to the targets, go to the Amazon Redshift, click on Amazon Redshift. So once you click on that Amazon Redshift tab, here you need to provide the properties of the Amazon Redshift informations. Okay, so here the name is let it be Amazon Redshift. In the access type, Redshift access type, we're going to use direct connection access, because we have exposed our cluster over the internet. So we're going to use that, right? I have already constructed a connections. I'm going to show you that how to create a connections in a while now. So you can click on, as you see here, you can click on here you can click on create a new connections, and here you can provide. So you need to select the your database instance, that is the the work group name, then you give the database name, username and password. That's also basically with these informations you can connect to the Redshift clusters. I have already created this connection, so I'm going to use it right away. Then if you go down, then you need to choose the database, which is actually automatically it selects the database, because it has only one database called by default dev database. And then underneath the dev database, we're going to choose the schemas. So we will use the public schema, right? And let it be public schema here, and in the table, right? So here is the magic you need to understand. So here I don't have created, in the sense I have not created any the table in the Redshift cluster, right? In the work group of the Redshift, right? So there are no table, but here it is asking to give the table name, right? So in that case, what you can do is you can give the table name what you want to be in the Redshift, the serverless, right? So here let's call it as the the JSON table. Okay, so let me call it as a JSON table, and there is an option will come called use as use JSON table. So click on that, then automatically it will populate to the go to the next, it will give you the next option, that is handling the data and the target table, right? So you can click on merge data into the targeted table. So select that one, because with this option what happens is you can incrementally load your destination tables, right? So we're going to use that. And then in this matching keys, since you are using the merge data into a targeted table, it is mandatory to choose the the matching key. So we're going to choose the ID as the matching key. So in general, you need to choose the matching key is equal to your primary key, in the sense in a data set something is primary, right? So use that key as a primary, right? So you need to use that, and rest all options feel free to keep it default. Now I will go to that and give it a name called, say, like JSON demo, right? So I'm going to give it as a JSON JSON glue demo. So I'm going to use this name and click on the save, right? So here what we did is we have constructed a very basic pipeline with using visual, right? Now for example, say when you have a big project which is actually dealing with the data engineering, and that has a so many so many basically that has a so many pipelines which you need to deal with, and your job is day-to-day job is itself is to create a pipeline. In that case you would deal with the scripts. Okay, now AWS Glue has a capability that when you choose the visual options and try to create a pipeline, it automatically generates the script in the backend. Okay, or else in the another word, if you are capable enough to write this script, you can write it any IDE environment, that is integrated development like Visual Studio Code or VS Code, or PyCharm. So you can use it anything, and try to build this script, that is this Python script, and then try to push that Python script into this glue job, and the glue job will be automatically created. Now I'm going to show you that, so how does that script looks like. Then we're going to go and trigger the the job, and see that whether it will really does the requirement of the job in the sense. Okay, so here it is actually retrieving the script. So I'm going to walk you through the script, by the way. So here you see that we just constructed the pipeline with using visual ETLs, but here it has constructed that visual ETLs into a scripts, right? So you see that it has importing the sys, and it is importing the glue, right? So I'm not going to describe this something like this. Yeah. All right. So okay, so here it has the glue, and from that it is importing it. Then you have from glue.utils, right? There are so many importation, importing of the modules happening here. That is get result options, Spark context, right? And the glue context. Then you have jobs. Then you have dynamic frames. Okay. So basically, to perform a job, in the sense to perform ETL job, you need these many modules. Okay, and that's are getting imported here. So here, if you go down the line, so the args. Okay, so what is the argument it needs? The job name, right? So we have given the job name called JSON glue, that is becoming as an argument to this particular job. Then we are setting the Spark context, which is actually in the variable called SC, right? So from that, basically from that object, you are actually calling that glue context, in the sense with using the Spark context. You are actually creating the glue context as because you are using that SC, that is Spark context, as the input to this glue context, and creating the glue context. Okay, so with using the glue context, now you can build the pipeline here. So we have a glue context, and then you are creating a Spark sessions, right? And then you have a Spark, and you have a job, right? The job name is basically it actually initiates the job. Okay, here in the line number 14, it initiates the job, and in the job we are defining two steps. One, extract from the S3 bucket, load it into the destination, that is Amazon Redshift serverless. Okay, so here script to generated by the node demo 3, right? That is nothing but in the visuals you have seen one step as a one node, right? So, and that is what they are defining it here. If you see that it is using the glue context, as I said. From the glue context, it is creating a dynamic frames from options. So in this one, it is using the the format options, connection type, that is S3, format is JSON, and connections options, that is actually giving the S3 bucket path, and giving the parameter, that is recurse equal to true, right? And the transformation context equal to this one. So basically this is actually automatically getting created. Okay, all right. So once the source node is ready, now we need to go to the script generated by the Amazon Redshift. That is nothing but our destination node. Destination node is a bit complex, you need to understand here. So again, we are using the glue context. You see that with using the glue context, you are actually creating a dynamic frames, and also writing the dynamic frames. Okay, so one side you are creating the dynamic frames, and the another side, that dynamic frames are used to write the dynamics frames. Okay, that is from the options. And here we are using the frames, that is nothing but this frame, that is the frame that we generated above. And the connection type is nothing but the connection type which we elevated, right? That is Redshift connection type. And the connections options, basically you see that there are lots of connections options here. That is post. You can dig down about this script, more about this script. I'm going to share this script after the I'm going to share this script in the video's description. You can find it from there and try to use it in your CI/CD pipelines. Then you use the connections, which is true, and then the table name, that is basically it is creating a temporary table using the using the glue connections, that is this one. And the precautions, okay, the precautions is basically if table is not there, you're going to create a table. Okay, that's what it does. Yes, in our case the table is not there, so it's going to create a table, right? And then the transformation context, that is Amazon Redshift, and this is the the context of the cluster is been given here, which looks simple, but to understand these dynamic the parameters, it is very difficult. So we need to dig down and try to understand. Okay, so for now, let's understand with how to build the visual ETL job, and then try to understand the script. As you go on, right, you will understand this pipeline very easily. All right, so with that option being said, I'm going to save this job, and we're going to what we do is we're going to run this job now. You can click on run the job, which will automatically initiates the the job running. So if I go to the visual ETLs and try to refresh it here, So we have this the job which we defined it here, and if you go to the run, you should be able to see one run instance is working. You can also visualize the logs of that the job run by clicking on continuous logs, and it will take us few seconds, and after the few seconds basically it will try to stream the logs. Okay, you see that it is currently streaming the logs, in the sense the job that we defined, it is to extract the data from S3 bucket JSON format to load into the Amazon Redshift cluster, right? So that streaming is happening here. You can try to visualize here. And while it takes 1 minute, what I do is I'm gonna go to the another part, that is Redshift connection. So how did I do a Redshift connections? Let's try to explore while it is takes another 1 minute. Okay, so but if you want to continually monitor this the logs, you can stay on this page and try to monitor. Okay, so not only this logs getting streamed here, this logs also can be stored in CloudWatch as well, so you can also explore more about that as well. Now we go to the data connections, or sorry, go to the data catalog. Underneath the data catalog, go to the connections. In the connections, you see that we have built a Redshift connections basically. And so earlier we used to build a Redshift connections by using the JDBC URLs of the Redshift cluster, but now AWS Glue has made it very easy for us. You can directly create any connections with very ease. Okay, click on this create connections. You're gonna choose your data source. So here our data source is Amazon Redshift cluster, and then click on next. Then you're gonna choose the work group, and then automatically it will list out the database present underneath that work group. Then go and provide your super secret passwords, right? And then so then here give the connection name, that is nothing but this resource name, and click on create connections, which actually creates a connections which we are right now using in the the Glue pipeline that we have built. Okay, so this is how you're going to create a connections to the Redshift clusters. Now we have already ran a job, so let's go and try to see what is happening at the job side. Now I'm going to that job, or say the job run monitoring. So basically if I click on this one, you see that currently JSON Glue demo, right? So there is a job running in this one. You can also view the run details. Click on this one. So this way also you can go it here. Looks like our job has gone green, so we'll go back to the job and try to directly go to the runs. Right click on that job and click on runs, and it actually looks to be succeeded. Okay, so that's very good. Go to the continuous log, so you can also explore more about what happened, what did I do, basically what the script done, and finally it has looks like it is green. So what is the expectation here is that, so here we expect that the data which is present in this format, that is in the semi-structured format, should be now available underneath the Redshift cluster. Okay, that's what I'm going to show you here right away. So here we have a 12 records, nothing but the list of 15 in the sense. So it is a JSON file which contains basically list of dictionaries. Okay, and each list of dictionary has a same unique keys. Okay, yeah, all right. So we're gonna go to the Redshift cluster. From the Redshift cluster, click on query editor, query the data. Now try to refresh it. We should be able to see a table getting populated here. Earlier I showed you that table was not there. Now we should be able to see a table here. So I'm going to expand this one particularly, and here go to the dev, go to the schema, that is public schema, and then go to the table. So you see, right? So whatever the name that we gave during creating the ETL pipeline, now that table is ready. So you can click on that table and do a select table, right? So once you click on select table, automatically another untitled window will open where you can see that ready-made SQL query is present. So click on that. So here, as you saw that I didn't create a table, but table got dynamically created. Now you see that even data is also populated. What is the query that I run here is select a star from a particular table, and it is actually retrieving all those 15 records. You see that result contains 15 records, and which is exactly as I want. Okay, so now once you have this semi-structured format to structured format, or in way on which you can run lots of analytical job, reporting job, you can run a machine learning job also can be run in this the structured data. Okay, remember that consuming the structured data is very easy, right? And that's where AWS Glue is playing a role in converting the semi-structured data set, that is huge semi-structured data set, putting into a destination in the form of a structured or purely SQL storage. Okay, and this is what it is happening. All right, so with that note, I have shown you that migrating the data from Amazon S3 bucket JSON sources to the Amazon Redshift cluster, right? And we see that we can see that data is now present here. All right, so with that note, thank you very much for watching my videos. Kind request, please do subscribe my channel. That would really encourage me a lot. With that note, thank you, thanks a lot, and see you in the next video.